Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today, our guest is Apoorv, the CEO and co-founder at Elevate. Hello,
Hey, Christian, good to meet you.
nice to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
So we automate commissions for sales teams.
What is the biggest problem that you're solving for sales teams?
I think sales teams are frustrated that they can't see how much money they're making on a day-to-day basis, and they get to see a spreadsheet at the end of, God knows how long. Um, and it's just not a good experience. I've been a sales guy most of my life, and we're trying to solve that. We want everybody who's getting paid commissions and incentives to see how much money they're making and to get it paid accurately and in real time because they deserve it.
Oh, okay, it makes sense. And I saw you offer 4 different products, right? Can you walk us through them?
That is correct. So these are all 4 different products in one. Technically, it's all part of the larger umbrella of solving for sales commission automation.
Okay.
One piece of it is the commission designer itself, where we can ingest any kind of commission logic that you throw at us, and automate any kind of commission logic under the sun. The second one is the workflow builder, so you can build approval workflows and audit workflows, etc. around the commission itself. Third one is payouts, so your finance team can come in and see how much money needs to be paid to whom, and when is that money due, and then can create more sophisticated rules on top of it. For example, don't pay this money until the invoice is received from this deal, right? That kind of stuff. So that's all automated on the payouts. The last bit is audits. So you can come in and audit anything that has happened in the past, look at people's commissions all the way back, and go through the details of their pay slips, what deals were they paid on, etc.
And can you tell us your best features?
Um, we don't like to think of it as features, honestly, because I think features don't add up to a product. It's more like how you built it. But if I was to pick a feature, I think I personally love what we call as a what if simulation.
Okay.
A lot of salespeople have this question: what if I close that deal with 5,000 more? What
Yeah.
if I did a multi-year deal? How much more money would I make? So they can go in our system and kind of play around with their deal details, and then click on a button and see real time how much more or less money they would make if they did those what ifs.
That's super helpful. Yeah. And what is the pricing for Elevate?
So we charge between $30 to $35 per user per month. And a user basically is anybody who either is a rep who's earning commissions
Okay.
or an administrator who's managing commissions.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And what are the integrations?
So we actually have over 40 different integrations. We integrate with all major CRMs, ERPs, invoicing and accounting systems. We also integrate with databases like SQL and others. And then offline data, if it's in your spreadsheets, files, that can be ingested as well. So pretty much wherever you have your commission related raw data, we're going to ingest from there.
Are there any other teams that can use your product apart from sales teams? Other use cases?
So anybody who is on an incentive plan or has a variable pay.
Okay.
So we've had use cases where customer success teams have used it. They usually have a lot of variable pay. Solution engineering team, but this is all part of the revenue function. So usually people in the revenue teams have variable pay, and those are the most common users of our product.
Makes a lot of sense. And can you tell us a success story of a customer? One that you enjoyed particularly?
Yeah, it's funny because we have a customer called Edge Petrol in UK, and we reached out to them cold outbound to the CRO, and he just loved what he heard. So he got on a call. This was very early for us. We had just started building the product, and this was our early days, and the product was not really fully refined. And he saw it, and he just loved it so much that he wanted to introduce it the same month into his team. And they used to have sales teams in different countries. So their problem was that they sold in both UK and the US. So people had targets in different currencies. Like someone based out of UK had a target in the US currency, but their commission was going to be in pounds. So what conversion rates to apply? Historically, going back and auditing, like if you paid someone, what was the conversion rate then? That was a bit of a challenge. And then they had AEs, customer success, SDR, BDR team. So they had a lot of different roles, and all of them were incentivized on different kind of stuff. So keeping all of that in the same place and showing them visibility was a big part of the challenge for them. I think we did this pretty beautifully. Mark would probably agree because he's been an active supporter of us since that day, and we've gone on to also then include their customer support team on our commission plans. So that probably goes on to tell you that we probably did a good job with them.
Super nice. And how competitive is the space that you're operating in?
It's a pretty fast going space. I'd say it's fairly competitive, but not crowded. So we have a few companies, basically 3 companies in the US that have gone on to raise over $50 million. Okay. But most of them focus on the enterprise side. We mostly focus on SMB and mid-market. So companies up to 2 to 300 sales reps is our sweet spot. So anything from 20 reps to 200, 300 sales reps is our sweet spot. And it's actually less competitive than you'd think. We still mostly are replacing Excel in most places. So most of the customers who end up using us are evaluating maybe 1 or 2 other players in the market. And then, of course, you've got your legacy players. So there is SAP, IBM. Those are the guys who've been around for a long time in this domain, and they usually stay in the enterprise domain.
Yeah, you explained it perfectly. So that's how you differentiate, and makes a lot of sense. That a solution like this was needed. When did you start the company?
So we officially started in 2021.
Okay.
And but the product was, so I had been working on it since 2020, but mostly research and but the product was launched in 2021.
Why did you choose to solve this problem?
I have been a salesperson most of my life, man. And it just hurts me when I see good sales guys leaving an organization because they're not happy with the commission they're getting paid, or some mistreatment in terms of how much they were supposed to be paid and how they're actually paid, or delays in commissions. It's just painful, because great sales guys need to be paid immediately and exactly what they're due. And a lot of companies lose out on that talent because they're not keeping those sales guys happy, and they're not doing a decent job of running commissions very well, right? So that's one thing that I really wanted to solve. I've worked in San Francisco, Southeast Asia, and Indonesia, India. I've worked in different geographies, and I've seen this problem across. It's not like a one geography problem. Globally, it's it's almost like a disease. Most sales teams start with Excel, and which is fine. You do want to start with Excel early on because it's simple, but they just don't know when to graduate to a software, on when to start automating things.
Yeah, I didn't know this problem existed, but I'm happy that you're solving it. How big is your team right now?
We are 30 people now.
And have you raised any funding?
We raised $1 million in 2021. That was pre-product when we started. From a fund called Leo Capital, based out of Singapore.
Do you think you found the product market fit?
Man, I think we have, because it's basically, I don't think it's one thing that you find and you keep. It's just a continuous journey which is evolving. So I think at this point, in some segments, I think we know what people want. Once the team is just starting to get to 20, 30, 50 reps, we know that the sales operations or the finance teams there are struggling to manage commissions, and they need something like this. So I think to them, we are able to kind of do a pretty good job of servicing. So I think from that end, we've found a pretty strong product market fit. But honestly, consumer needs keep evolving. Now there is, people have expectations that they want an AI to write the commission plan for them, right? So how do you keep evolving with the needs of the customer is a continuous journey, and I think we need to keep discovering it.
What has been your biggest challenge since 2021, since starting the company?
I got married in between. I guess that was I'm just kidding. That wasn't a challenge. I think just being able to build what you think is the right product to build, and not caring about what the what your competitors are doing or saying, because they have raised more money than you, so they will, of course, once you raise hundreds of millions of dollars, you have to build something with it, right? So it's they will basically create things which are not needed, but create a lot of you know um, noise around it. So it's hard to keep your head in the right place and say, this is the core problem, that's what we're going to build, and that's it, because we have limited resources. We're going to do one thing and we're going to do that thing right. I think that's been hard. I've often been tempted to build more things, but I think thankfully us raising a limited amount has helped us stay consistent on that core problem we want to solve.
I've never heard this, but it makes so much sense. So yeah, they're trying to build innovative stuff, and you forget to
Yeah, no, I
build the
think,
core.
and don't get me wrong. See, the thing is, you do want to innovate, but I think there is a fine line. Man, I would love to have $100 million in my account as well, and go on and do that. But I think it helps, like for founders who have raised less money, like not to be like they should remember that they shouldn't be distracted by what others are building. There's a core problem that you found. If you solve that well, money will come, and with that money, you can maybe tomorrow experiment and run these parallel projects that you think are going to be path defining. But yeah, that's a constant challenge.
Well said. And what are your future plans? Your vision?
I wanna grow old running this company. I wanna have
Yeah.
gray hair. It's just a very exciting market. I think we're just getting started. Over 90% of the world's commissions are still on Excel. Um, there is all these sales guys that need to be saved from the horrors of Microsoft Excel. So we won't be happy until we get done. And I think there's a lot more to be done, in this domain, because we work with revenue operations teams. There is more to be built on top of it, around just how do you plan your entire sales process. So we see a lot of exciting stuff. Right now, the short-term target is to stay focused and continue to go deeper into the problem and delight our customers. And at some point, once we think we are big enough, then expand into more product verticals.
Awesome. I'd love to hear a backstory. So how you started your career? You said you've been in sales for a long time, but please tell us the whole journey.
Oh man, do you want to hear the real story or the story I tell?
Both.
uh,
No, the real story. Yeah.
I actually got into sales by fluke. I was supposed to go to a financial services job with S&P after my college, and I just didn't, somehow it didn't appeal to me. All the spreadsheets and all the number crunching. So there was this startup, and someone introduced me to that startup, and the founder called me for an interview. I didn't know what startups were. This is back in 2012, and I didn't know what SaaS is or all of this stuff. And they were running an HR tech startup, and he interviewed me, and he gave me a job immediately. He said, why don't you come tomorrow and start? And I, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I already have this job, but I need to show up next week. But I decided to give it a shot. I said, if nothing works out in a week, I'll leave. But man, I loved sales from day zero. Just the amount of hustle on the floor and what all goes in, and the amount of energy and camaraderie in sales teams, it stayed with me. So yeah, that's when I started enjoying sales. Never thought I'd do it, and I ended up doing that a long time. Yeah.
What's your best piece of advice for somebody that's starting in sales? So what you said, after college, looking to get into sales.
I think, I don't know how it is in a lot of other countries. In India, there's still a lot of stigma attached to sales roles. People look down upon sales. They think of finance and consulting as, these really important roles that are going to change the world. I think to those kids that I see, and I'm pretty sure it's the same across the world. I went to B school in France, and I don't think it was any difference. Most of the folks wanted to go to consulting, McKinsey, Bain. Probably a handful of people said we want to go back to sales, right? It's just looked down upon. Nobody thinks like it's a alluring job.
Yeah.
But if you look at the statistics, most of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies come from sales background. So if you want to make real impact, and if you want to learn everything about the business, And if you want to grow fast, you need to be in sales, because you're eventually going to do sales anyway in your life, whether you move to consulting or finance. Like once you get from the grunt work and rise above, you will be selling to someone. So you gotta start it early.
Do you think there's a special trait or a special characteristic that you need to have? A certain, yeah,
Yeah, I think persistence is
charisma
one.
or, yeah.
Now, charisma and all is overrated. Honestly, I've found great sales guys who you wouldn't like if you were in a party with them, you'd probably not look at them twice. So certainly, charisma is not one of the great traits. I think it's persistence. And different people find their style. If eventually you're trying to get someone to believe in you, right? That's what sales is, and then believe in your product. So you want to be a little smart. You do want to be intelligent so that people can trust you. You want to be intelligent about what you're saying, so you build that trust. And then the question is, what else can bring out that trust from the person you're speaking with? It can be charisma, but it can also be your persistence. It can also be your honesty. So you can win people over different ways depending on what works for you. So stay authentic to yourself and use that to define your own selling style.
Thank you for sharing this.
But don't give up. I think
Yeah.
no matter what you have, what skills you have, if you give up, you're not going to be doing well in sales.
Thank you for this. And I'd love to hear what's your favorite software apart from Elevate? A SaaS product you use and you recommend to others.
Slack is brilliant. I love Slack. I think since we are here, I'm thinking about, these are all the established guys. I really like a tool called Mailmodo, which, if you haven't checked out, you should. It basically, you can do a lot more with your email. So it's very, very interesting. A friend started it. Some really interesting companies coming out of India. If I name one, I think someone's going to get pissed, so I'm not going to name them, because I know multiple people who are running the same kind of companies. So I can't name that.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
Yeah, I guess, look, this is going to be a hard year for everyone, and I don't think it's getting said enough, but if you are selling this year, as a founder, as a salesperson, I think it's important to talk to other people in your network, to know that everybody's going through the same things together, and that it is going to be hard, but it is going to get over, right? And it helps to be around other folks who are going through the same journey as you are. So yeah, I think this year, as a community, we need to come together and help each other as much as we can. Clearly the party is over. The good days of 2021 are behind us. But I think these are the kind of times that make for great, sustainable companies. So yeah, just stay on what you're doing. So long as you've found a few customers who are happy with you, you're on the right track.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast. I'm super grateful.
Thanks, Christian.